Hello, thank you so much for dropping by. So, I am so happy to be the bearer of some really good news. And what this good news is actually what was, I believe, I'm convinced, is the actual message that Christ came to convey. And it was actually the predominant message for the first 400 to 500 years of Christian history. And here's my poetic summation of it. What do I trust, believe, am convinced of with all my heart as a Christian universalist? What do I believe the gospel, which actually means good news, that Christ came to tell all of us of? That at last every soul shall become holy and happy, i.e., saved, enlightened, eternally liberated from all sorrow. That heaven on earth is inevitable, that one day all of creation shall harmoniously dance, sing, and play together, the ultimate party. And everyone is invited, that means you, and everyone will arrive, that means you. Or, as the good book, which is another poetic expression for the Bible, or as the good book says, that God shall be all in all. That's what I believe the true teaching, the final, the foundational teaching that Jesus Christ came to offer was that everyone and everything one day, thanks to the grace of God, infinite, limitless love. And let's be clear what God is, because there's a lot of crazy ideas about, well, ideas that actually make God sound crazy, that infinite love will win, will heal. As it also says in the Bible, that God will wipe away all tears, and that death, and death in the Bible doesn't just mean physical death, death means all forms of sorrow and suffering, that death will be no more. It's almost like, the final chapter of the book was written by God before creation began. And that final chapter is everyone lives happily ever for, not just ever after, happily forever after. How we get there, how long it takes, that's where free will enters. But free will would not allow a single one of us to stay lost forever. God would not allow that. And Christ straight up taught this. Matthew 18:12. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wandered away, will he not leave the 99 in the hills, meaning the 99 where they're safe, in the hills, and go to look for the one that wandered off? And if he finds it, truly I tell you, he is happier about the one sheep than about the 99 that did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should perish. So it's right there in the Bible over and over and over and over. And then what happened is about 500 AD, the Catholic Church made the idea of eternal hell a dogma, meaning you had to believe it or you would be excommunicated. And since then, before then, what I'm talking about, universalism, was the predominant view. And then once that view was made a dogma, and slowly but surely the Catholic Church sort of took over the theological scene. And it's been downhill ever since in terms of understanding the true teachings of Christ. But people are starting to wake up. They're starting to wake up that the idea of eternal hell is irreconcilable with a loving God, but also irreconcilable with common sense. But it's more than that. Universalism is not just the denial of eternal hell or eternal separation. Universalism, even more, really what it is it's the affirmation of ultimate victory of love over everything not love, of health over sickness, of eternal life over death, of joy over every problem. It's the supreme good news. And that's why Jesus called his message, his actual message, the good news. So thank you so much for dropping by this video. And please, your thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, absolutely welcome. Much love. And, God issued the invitation to the final ultimate party that we'll all end up at. And I'm very honored and happy to be one of the messengers to remind you that you are invited and you will arrive at the eternal love fest. Thanks for joining in.